BrainX presents 10 surprising things about your brain that you should know. In the end, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, comment and subscribe to my channel for the next videos about your mental well-being. Our mind is mysterious, but we are learning more than ever about our gray matter. Here are myth-busting truths, new research and surprising factoids you didn't know about the human thinking machine. Number 1. You use way more than 10% of your brain. When it comes to commonly repeated myths, the idea that you only use 10% of your brain is right up there. One survey found that half of the college-educated people believe it to be true, but it's not. We use every part of our brain, says Robin Taroney, MD and Assistant Professor of Neurology in the Division of Cognitive Neurology at The Ohio State University. While brain regions are not necessarily all active at the same time, all brain regions are utilized to some extent over the day, depending on what we are doing. For example, reading, trying to solve a math problem, driving, talking on the phone, or sleeping. Number 2. No one is either left-brained or right-brained. Even though we are right or left-handed, it doesn't mean we are right or left-brained. The myth of having a dominant brain hemisphere may have come from experiments performed in the 1960s on people who had had the connections, the corpus callosum, between their two halves severed. But most of us have brains that aren't split in two, and thus function as one. Research shows that almost all brain functions require the interaction of both hemispheres for these functions to be carried out accurately. Dr. Taroney says, each half may perform separate functions within a task. Our ability to express and understand language happens in the left hemisphere, but other aspects of language processing, such as intonations, rhythms, and stress of words, occur in the right. But this is true for everyone, she notes. Number 3. Men and women don't learn differently. There are many differences between men and women, but it doesn't mean that the sexes aren't equal in their learning capabilities. On average, men have larger brain volumes than women, while women have thicker cortices than men, Dr. Taroney says. The differences are not just anatomical. Men's and women's brains seem to be wired differently to some extent. She points to research by Diane Halpern, PhD, who found that women do better with verbal and writing ability, and men better with problem-solving and visuospatial skills. But there may be a social component to this, and other research has shown both sexes performing equally in mathematics. Men's and women's brain are more alike than they are different, and there is a lot of variabilities between individuals of the same gender. Number 4. Size doesn't matter, or does it? Another ongoing debate is how your brain size impacts your smarts. The size of the brain is not linked to intelligence or learning new material. Comparing the brains of great thinkers, writers, and mathematicians after an autopsy hasn't yielded conclusive evidence that their size correlates with intelligence. Even among different species, research has shown that when it comes to brain-to-body ratio, the smarter animals don't always have bigger brains. However, scientists have come up with an encephalization coefficient that compares animals based on their relative body size, and humans finally come out on top. Number 5. You can strengthen your brain. Although brain games may not supercharge your thinking cap, you can train your brain by focusing on broader, more dynamic skills. The best news is that we can do things to counter age-related brain decline and strengthen our smartness into late life, especially when it comes to innovative problem solving and deeper level thinking. Reasoning and innovative thinking contribute to the intellectual capacity needed to respond effectively to our constantly changing real-life demands. For example, learning a new language, a musical instrument, or other new hobbies have been shown to increase brain function. Number 6. The nature of intelligence isn't known. You can fake being smart, but what makes us intelligent, if not brain size and folds? Although we still do not know all of the biological processes that explain intelligence, intelligent people probably have better connections between the neurons, referred to as synapses, and their neurons have stronger networks in certain brain regions that allow the brain cells to communicate with each other more efficiently, Dr. Tornay says. She notes that anatomy may have something to do with it, as some studies suggest more intelligent people may have thicker cortices, the outer part of the two hemispheres, particularly in some parts such as the parietal lobe. Number 7. IQ is not fixed. Although the origins of intelligence are still being researched, it does seem clear that IQ, or intelligence quotient, is not fixed. It can change throughout your life. Some experts argue that there is no such thing as IQ at all, but that experiences and learning as well as the testing itself are variable and can change over time. Studies show our nutrition and other environmental factors may also impact brain power. We used to think that once smart, always smart and vice versa. We now know that is wrong, says Sandra Bond Chapman, PhD founder and chief director of the Center for Brain Health at University of Texas at Dallas. Science reveals that the brain and our smartness are anything but fixed. We continuously shape and rewire our brain by how we think. Number 8. Smarter people may just be better at filtering distractions. With this thinking on distractions and the brain comes another theory of intelligence, that the smart people are just better at ignoring distracting stuff. A study from the University of Rochester found that people with higher IQs were better at detecting the movements of small objects on a screen, but worse at detecting movements of larger, background-like objects. This may be because in nature, large movements like the wind in the trees are irrelevant, but the harder to see animal about to pounce is more important. So in our info-laden modern world, the ability to better focus might give some people an edge. Number 9. Memory isn't as fixed as we think. Although some of us do have impressive powers of recall, memories are in fact constantly in flux, and this has the potential to alter how we remember things. Our brain is not a video cam that takes in information and stores it in our memory center precisely as it happens. Instead, we process scenes, conversations, and outings through our filter of rich experiences, perspectives, and thinking biases, Dr. Chapman says. This is why two people can witness the same event and come away with very different memories. Even studies of so-called flashbulb memories of major events, like the Challenger explosion or the events of September 11, 2001, show our recollections aren't always accurate. One good thing, we do tend to look back on our life through rose-colored lenses. Our memories are altered and typically become more positive over time. Number 10. The brain doesn't mature until age 25. Although we've already legally become an adult, our brains aren't fully grown up until around age 25 according to science. And your brain can continue to grow long past your 20s. Dr. Trones says the brain matures from back to front, with the prefrontal cortex the last to finish developing. The prefrontal cortex is responsible for higher order thinking, referred to as executive function, such as judgment and problem solving, decision making, complex planning, organized thinking, personality development, and impulse control. The reward centers of the brain are the most active during adolescence, but are back to normal levels of activity by the mid-20s. So individuals become less sensitive to peer pressure and much better at risk management during their 20s compared to the adolescent years. Thanks for watching. I hope these facts be helpful. I'm also waiting for your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to press the like button and subscribe to my channel for the next videos about your mental well-being.